And hello, everyone, and welcome in to O'Neill's Grill for our weekly Fan and Press Luncheon with JMU football coach Everett Withers. I'm your host, Kurt Dudley, as the Dukes. Well, they took Saturday off, and they're going to head down to Charlotte, North Carolina for a non-conference game against the 49ers of Charlotte. That'll be Saturday there in Charlotte, North Carolina. Joining us now is the traveled Everett Withers. They took a little trip this weekend. We may get a chance to talk about that a little bit too, Coach. But first of all, specifically the benefits of this team here in 2014 to have your bye week after you've played 7 games of a 12-game schedule. So what was specifically the benefit for your team?
Well, we got a really good sample size of our football team playing 7 games, and again, playing a number of those games on the road. You learn a little bit about your football team and where you need to improve and some of the things you need to look at to enhance for the second half after your bye. So that was good. That was always good. Anytime you play 7 games, and I feel like it was a very tough schedule, first 7 weeks of the season. Again, you get to learn a little bit about your football team, and the last 2 weeks before the bye, we had an opportunity to kind of make it a 2-game season for us against Albany and then against Townsend, and to have some success going into the bye is always big.
So now that you've had that success, that little 2-week season what's the next microcosm goal that you now have set for this team?
Well, obviously, it turns into many seasons for us, 1-week seasons as we go down the backstretch of our schedule, and I think that's important for our team to not look past anybody or to look past the next ball game. So I'm really looking to see how we come back after a bye. The way we practice during bye week, I was very pleased the way we did some things during bye. I was very pleased at how we practiced last night. We practiced from 7:30 to about 10 o'clock last night, and had a very spirited, upbeat, very, very good practice. And I think we're starting to see some things with this team. They're starting to even come together even more. So, and I think they're anxious to get back on the field.
Considering that the 62-7 win over Towson before the bye week was certainly one of the most complete games that your team has had, any concern that you lose a little bit of the potential momentum that you get from playing a ball game like that?
Well, I'm not concerned at those things. So what I do is I try to look at how do you come back after a bye week? How do you practice after a bye week? Again, this is all a journey and a growth process with this team. So I'm trying to learn little things about this football team and how we come back and how we prepare after a bye week. Last night we called yesterday's practice a +1 practice. How will we use that +1 practice to be better on Tuesday and be better on Wednesday as we go into our preparation of UNCC?
The bye weeks have not really been much in your favor. You faced a couple of CAA teams that were coming off bye weeks. You get your bye week, and lo and behold, your opponent also takes the weekend off. Can't catch a break from the bye week perspective.
Yeah, well, I guess that's part of the scheduling thing that hopefully in the future we'll look at all those aspects of scheduling before we put together a schedule. This will be our 3rd opponent that will have had a bye week before we play them. So there's always some things that go into that also, and I'm not sure if we don't have one more down the road. So it's interesting that that's the case, and hopefully it doesn't really. You have to go play the game, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
You have to prepare and go play the game.
Charlotte is a team which is 3-4, starting off the year with 3 consecutive wins, then 4 straight losses. All of those losses have been by a single score. Right. 2 of them have been in double overtime. They've been obviously in every game, but haven't reaped as many benefits from being in these close ball games. When you consider that, what's your perspective of this team?
Well, I know this team is new in playing football. I think this is their 2nd year playing football. I tell you what you see is they won the first 3 ball games, and then they've lost the last 4. But you see a team that's getting better each week. And improving. And I know Coach Lambert, I've known Coach Lambert a while, and he's trying to instill a culture in a program in Charlotte, and you can see it just growing each week. This team is getting an identity offensively. They want to do the things very similar to what we want to do on offense in a lot of ways. They want to spread the ball around a bunch of different skill guys, be able to run the football. They're doing a good job of running the football. Will be the biggest offensive line we play probably all year long. So they've done a good job in recruiting in that aspect. So this team offensively has had success. When you watch and you see the numbers, they've got a very talented receiver, one of the best that will play all year. And then also you watch them on defense, and they're growing. They're a little bit like us, trying to grow on defense and find their identity on defense in a lot of ways. So I look at as I've watched film on them for the last week and a half, I've kind of seen them, almost like looking in the mirror at us at times.
Yeah, certainly. You look at a lot of their numbers, big offensive numbers. Time of possession favors the opponents, much like what your offense does. This, too, is an offense that comes up with some huge plays. They've had 7 touchdowns of 50-plus yards, and many of those do go to that receiver you're talking about. You're talking about an offensive line that's huge. This guy's not very big. He's 5'9", 160 pounds. What have you seen of Austin Duke?
Well, he's one of those guys. He's very good in space. You get him the ball in space. I think he had an 83-yard touchdown a week or so ago. You watch him; he catches the ball on bubbles and tunnels, and he can split the defense and go the distance. He's a very good receiver when he gets one-on-one coverage. He's a quarterback's favorite target. I think he's got 56 receptions for almost 1,000 yards. So here's a guy that's very talented. And again, I think he's probably their biggest playmaker on offense, but they do have some other weapons also.
They are pretty balanced, 229 on the ground and 267 or so in the air. Defensively, they yield 267 in the air, but they keep it at a minimum on the ground. Even though the Citadel racked up nearly 600 yards rushing, they still only yield 184. Rushing the football has been your M.O., and will rushing the football be probably the most difficult task against this defense and what you've seen in its growth?
Well, this defense is a 3-4 front. They play a lot of 4 techniques, so again, some similarities there in what they want to do. They're a little bit different coverage schematically than we are. I think our objective each week is how do we find a way to run the football? How do we find a way to keep the ball and run the football and keep the ball moving down the field and keep it away from another opponent that scores a lot of points. So that's going to be important for us that we do a very good job. We're going to try to find a way to run the football. That's obviously what we want to do.
We will turn it over to other members of the media. One more question for you, though, Coach. You've had some time to really look back at that Towson game from the defensive perspective, too. Obviously, when you keep an opponent down to 7 points, your evaluation of how the defense played against the Tigers a week ago, we haven't had a chance to talk about that here at O'Neill's.
Well, I think up front we played I think we played aggressive up front. I think we were very attack-oriented up front. We did a good job on the edges, and I felt like our guys played with a lot more confidence and the ability to go make plays. And I think that's something that as a defense grows with the schematics of that particular defense, you do. And hopefully we're learning a little bit more about each other. I feel like our defensive coaches have done a good job of growing some of our young guys that have had to play this year, and that process will continue throughout the season with us. It'll be a week-to-week growth process with this defense, but I like where we're headed. Hopefully that trend continues as the last part of the season presents itself.
All right, Coach, we'll turn it over to other members of the media here at O'Neill's Grill with our weekly Fan and Press Luncheon with Coach Everett Withers. Gentlemen.
Coach, can you talk more about last night's practice and how that response compares to how the Dukes practice after a win or after a loss? This is a bye week, obviously, so how did they respond after a bye week?
Well, our kids came back, and we had a 4 o'clock team meeting yesterday, and then we had meetings and dinner, and then we came back and practice. And it just feels like, anytime you give a team some time to relax and get away. And my emphasis to our players was to get away from football. Go watch somebody else play. And go watch somebody else, on Saturday. Go watch a high school game on Friday. Get away from thinking about X's and O's on our end. Go watch somebody else do it on Friday and Saturday nights. And they came back with a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm. And I think our kids are anxious to to progress on this journey, these last 5 games or so.
I'm guessing there's never really a bye week for coaches. What did you do in your spare time to, I guess, extra preparation, or did you
Spare time?
Right, exactly. Things that you wouldn't have been able to do otherwise if there was a game, and did you at least get maybe 5 minutes of relaxation in there?
Yeah, well, we practiced Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We had a strength and conditioning day with Aaron Burkhardt, our strength coach, on Thursday. I had a chance to go see my daughter in Alabama at the University of Alabama. She works in the recruiting office. So I had a chance to go down there and spend some time Thursday afternoon, Friday with the Alabama staff, and then obviously got a chance to see them win their game against A&M. On Saturday, and obviously when you get a bye week as a coach, you want to go relax and go do some things. But gave me a chance to go down and see some other things. I took some notes. There were some things. Got a chance to visit with Coach Saban a little bit, so an opportunity to do some things like that and get some ideas of how to go through the last half of this season. How do you do those things? So it was a great opportunity for me. Our assistant coaches were on the road recruiting Thursday and Friday. Got a chance to go to some high schools and some high school games. In fact, we just got out of a recruiting meeting, an hour-and-a-half recruiting meeting before I came here today. So we got a chance to get our recruiting back where we want it and get it updated and move forward.
And finally, the bye week's kind of like a little halfway point. Can you just compare, especially with the younger guys, how they've grown from week 1 a long time ago to now we're at the bye week?
Well, yeah, there's been some growth. Obviously, there's going to be, and I feel like our guys are getting better. Are we there? No, we're not. And again, that process will continue with a lot of these young guys. But I feel like they're starting to understand what our expectations are. And to me, that's important. They kind of know how our expectations are on the field and how we practice and how we do things. But our expectations about how we play the game and how we get our job done, our job descriptions done.
Coach, just talk a little bit about how important the bye week is as far as injuries go, and just physically kind of recharging their batteries a little bit.
Well, it's important to get some guys that have played a lot of snaps, get them some opportunities to rest. What we did during the bye week practices, we had some physical practices. We actually took some of the young guys and scrimmaged them some, just so they can get some work. We tried to take some of the load off some of the guys that have played a number of snaps, and rest some guys a little bit in practice. Get them work. You don't want to completely shut guys down unless they have an injury, but get guys work in practice, so it does give you a chance to heal up a little bit and to take some of the stress off of their legs a little bit. Some of the receivers needed some rest and or limited snaps, so it does give you the opportunity to do that.
Coach, if you will talk about the second half of the Towson game, you got some guys in the game that don't normally get to play. Kind of assess what you saw on the field from your 2s and your 3s.
Well, it's always good when you have the opportunity to play guys that work hard in practice, and we try to reward guys that practice hard for us, whether it be scout team work or whether it be second or third team work for us. So to get the opportunity to get some of those guys in the game, the Brett Siegels and the Matt Franks, and to get some of those guys in the game, it's really good to be able to do that. Dom Richards, guys like that really bust their butt in practice, and to get those guys in the game, it's really fun. And to watch them have positive plays. To watch them, take coaching and go out and have some success when they're out there. You work hard. You always talk about your opportunity will come, and this was an opportunity for some of those guys, and it helped.
We didn't see any Sean Tapley in those last 2 games. How is he doing, and was this a good week for him to kind of get back healthy, I guess?
Who's that?
Sean Tapley.
Yeah, well, he's a guy that I think he's starting to get healthier.
Okay.
Hopefully, we'll get him an opportunity to get in more opportunities in the game. The healthier he becomes. So hopefully, that's something that will happen here in the future.
And you talk so much about your running game and kind of forget about the offensive line, a group that's kind of come together as the season's gone on. How are they looking now compared to first couple games? I mean.
Yeah, I think they've progressed. I mean, again, I think we're leading the conference in rushing. So those guys have come together as a unit. Are they there yet? No. But I think they're progressing in the right direction. I think Coach Davis has done a good job with the culture of that room and has grown that group, and I think that group will continue to get better.
I know that your offense is very different from the Citadel, but they do run a triple option. You have had some option plays.
Sure.
Did you pick up on some things without giving too much away that might be something you could work into your game plan this week?
Yeah, you always look at what other people do that, when they have success. We do have some option. We do have some triple in our scheme. And obviously it helps us when you have a quarterback that's running in the pass. So we do look at probably not so much about the overall scheme, but some of the blocking schemes that the Citadel used for their success, and hopefully it'll help us some.
Does it matter that you're playing a non-conference opponent this week? Is that better, or does it matter at all?
You know what? I really don't look at it. I just look at the next opponent. I mean, I think Charlotte's a team that's up and coming, and I think they're growing, and it's really neat for me to watch them, and watch what they've done. So, it's going to be a challenge for us to go down there. I mean, obviously, I think their program is starting to grow. So, do I look at it non-conference or conference? No, I don't. I look at it as the next opponent. No, he is not. The next guy's got to play good.
Coach, one last question here. You're heading back to your hometown area there in Charlotte. Does this have any special significance to the head coach, or just like you just said, it's just another game?
To be honest with you, it really is just another game. I've always admired Charlotte's. Obviously, I'm born and raised there. I think UNCC is a program that's always deserved football. I felt like if they ever got football there, it would grow into something big and special. I've always, again, I took 2 summers ago, I spent some time with their offensive coordinator. Me and my family, we went by the facility, and he took us on a tour, just kind of seeing what they're doing there, and it was neat to see it. I'm very happy for Charlotte to have that school have a football team now, and but it'll be fun. I'll see some I'm sure I'll see people there at the game that I know and those type of things. But again, this is a long journey. I'll look back on it after the season.
All right, Coach, it's short and sweet. Any other questions from members of the media, since we just have the scouting report for Charlotte and no game on Saturday? Make it a short week this week here at O'Neill's, and we'll be back again, of course, next week at O'Neill's Grill for our weekly Fan and Press Luncheon as the Dukes head to Charlotte to face the 49ers, a non-conference game. The second meeting between these two programs. Dukes won in Harrisonburg last year, and kickoff is at noon. For Coach Everett Withers, I'm Kurt Dudley. Thank you for joining us this week here at O'Neill's Grill for the JMU Football Weekly Fan and Press Luncheon.